Okay, hello. Have you ever heard the term coevolution? Well, my first exposure to that word was a book that was written about 20 years ago about a contactee named Alec Newell. He wrote the book, and he was abducted for 10 days, taken aboard a ship. That ship was, he was escorted by a female, human uh, alien hybrid, and I saw a picture that he drew of her. I can't say she was physically attractive to me, but I could imagine um, she was, especially when you got to know her, maybe. But I say that because Alec, did grow quite fond of her and actually got a hard on, believe it or not, at one point when he was with her, and she noticed it, which was very awkward and embarrassing. Um, but in that book, Xena did confide with Alec about something that happened to their race. Uh, I'm assuming a long time ago. And what happened was that they were very technologically advanced, of course. I've got a pinched nerve in my left arm. God, I hate that feeling. And it's probably because I'm not sitting in my favorite chair because I wanted to be up a little bit for you, up higher in the frame. So, but it's not working out. So I'm going to go get my regular chair so I don't feel this arm. My regular piece of shit chair, but I love it. You know what I mean? It's so comfy. Let me see if maybe that'll boost me up a little bit here. Anybody know Rather Be Squidding? He's a YouTube channel or a YouTube personality on United Celebrity Review. Unidentified Celebrity Review. Anyway, Rather Be Squidding is the master of introductions. He's very serious. I guess he probably has it all written out. I've never done that. I should. But getting back to what Gina told Alec about their people was quite interesting. First of all, she described that there was something that happens with the suns of our galaxy naturally, but nobody ever knows when it exactly is going to happen. But there are signs, and they think it's going to happen to our planet. And when that does happen, it's going to be some kind of an event triggered by the sun's rays, becoming supercharged, maybe plasma, I don't know. But it's something that's not destructive, but somehow raises the vibration of everything on the planet. And this is a desirable thing because it's like the shift, it's the ascension that everyone's talking about, But this was in a book 20 years ago, right? And it wasn't about our ascension, it was about theirs. But what happened is theirs didn't work, and I'll tell you why. They knew about this mechanism. They'd seen it happen with other solar systems, but it hadn't happened on their own world yet. And the world was dying as well. I'm not sure if that was the result of what they did, but let me get to what they did. So they knew how to make the sun do this thing. And they however they did it, and they tried to make the sun, their sun, go into this hyper state and make the whole planet ascend. And it kind of worked, but not completely. That's the way I remember reading it. So they are in a frequency band, to simplify things maybe, that no one's listening to. No one's looking for a station there. And they're really isolated, which explains why when Alec was first, by the way, Alec is from Australia, and he was recently divorced. He was driving in his car, and right out of his car, car and all, he was abducted. And for 24 hours, there was no car anymore, I don't think. Maybe there was. I don't remember whether the car was there when he woke up, but he had a 24-hour period where he could see nothing but white haze and no sound. And he just kind of sat there and, I don't know, waited. Or maybe he was told to wait. And eventually he started being able to see. And that's when they made contact, introduced, taken on board the ship, told the story about what had happened to them. And then what their solution was that, by the way, they've been having the same problems that the Greys have been having. Were these Greys? No, they weren't, actually. They were similar in terms of size and large heads and large eyes. But they didn't really look like Greys. He actually drew some pencil pictures that were very, very revealing, and it was hard to imagine, but he did get attracted to Gina. She was a hybrid between the original native of their species. I didn't get the name. Their planet was called Haven, which to me sounded a lot like heaven, but it wasn't heaven because it was drying up and it was not anything like heaven. So I guess I'll let that one go. But anyway, what they want to do, they've been having the same problems with reproduction that the Greys are having. And that problem, real quickly, is that they've been cloning for so long that the natural way of having a baby has long since no longer viable. Cloning was the only way, and then cloning stopped being reliable. And I guess problems are being introduced due to the cloning. And so they deem it important to be able to mix back with us. Now, why do I say back? Well, she informed him that they are related to us genetically. And there are some people on Earth who are more compatible with them than others. And so they're hunting those people out. I'm not sure to do what, talk to them, tell them. That's kind of a side story. But she did say that their goal is to come to this planet. Why? Because they know that this planet is about to go through that shift, but naturally, not, artificially induced like it was on theirs. And Gina told Alec that because she was a hybrid and they've been working on this, that she's like the first of her kind to be able to actually have a baby the normal way, which was kind of a hint to Alec. And Alec was embarrassed. He's a private man, so even in his book, he said, I'm too private to tell you anymore about it, but he gave us the general impression that she wanted him to impregnate her. And whether he did or not, he wouldn't say. So I guess that means yes. So that's pretty fascinating. All of that happened 20 years ago. Where's Alec today? He's mysterious. He was going to put out a second book and just disclose a whole bunch more. And then that just died. I mean, he created a Facebook page for it. Then he left the Facebook page. Was he a fraud? Of course not. I read his book. He was very serious. And, and I followed him afterwards. And although he didn't discuss the book much, he was really discussing AI and the dangers of AI on his Facebook page. And I thought, where's all the talk about coevolution? And then I realized he was working on that, so therefore he was not talking about it. But it still hasn't showed up. So what the fuck? Kind of irritating. But anyway, I don't think he made it up. I mean, I'll tell you a detail that makes me think that it was real, because I always, look for unexpected details. Apparently, he was on a date with her on her home planet. She took him out to what was similar to what our Grand Canyon is, okay? Except this Grand Canyon was a lot bigger than ours. It was like 10 times deeper, something like that, and wider, just huge. And I think it was even maybe the result of that catastrophe that they induced, But anyway, I'm not sure on that. But it was a romantic place to go. It was a beautiful view, but they were on the rocks, not too close to the edge, but they were slanting, the rocks, and it was a little unsafe. And they were a few feet apart. And I think she noticed that he had an erection, and because they were talking, they had kissed already. Yeah, they had kissed once to see if she could feel anything, and she didn't feel anything. But she said, but it looks like you did. And embarrassed, he had a hard on, so he nudged himself over towards her because there was a gap between them. And he smiled, I guess, and went to put his arm around her. And when he did, she was so unexpectedly light, not only because she was a much smaller being than a human being and much more like a child, but also very skinny. And when he put his arm around her, he just totally misjudged and almost kind of caused her to stumble and then roll off the cliff into the, not that it was that bad, but yeah. So I mean, that's a detail that in my mind is unique enough that it just does not sound made up. He also mentioned that the gravity there is slightly less than ours. So he had a lot of experiences there, but that's not the point here. The point here is just to talk about coevolution. Now, that was my first introduction to it, and it was the first time I'd ever heard that another race kind of needed our DNA to help, not only our DNA, but actually it's not our DNA that they're after. They want to come be with us, and they have to have our DNA in order to live on the planet. And then they're hoping that when the sun does its thing, they will all shift, or at least whoever's been chosen will all shift into a higher dimension, leaving a lot of their family behind on Haven with a dying planet and a big hot sun. So that's kind of sad, but anyway, so that's the idea, coevolution that I first heard of. Now, since then, there's been a few other stories that would come to mind, like J-Rod, Okay, that was Michael Borish, I think. And he was a neuroscientist, neurophysicist, or something like that. God, my arm is still killing me. Sorry, guys. This is live, and you know why I'm doing this live, by the way? I know nobody's on right now, but I want to practice being able to get through. And there's a little thing, that little voice, right, that says, you can't stop the show, Larry, you're live. And that's good. It's good to have that push. Unfortunately, I don't do too well with it, because I do allow myself to do this. You guys know what a pinched nerve feels like. Some of you do. Oh, God, it really sucks. And that's the least of my problems. I'm king of pain. I don't know if I've told you that. But no, I know there's a lot of people much worse off than I am. Ain't it a great world? We just love you, God, for providing this world for us, and for all the beautiful genes that you gave us that are so almost working for us, but really not, but pretty good. Worse and worse every year, but things get old and worn out. Yeah, if we don't get any help pretty soon, we might start fucking with our own code. And that would fuck us all up, wouldn't it, God? You want that to happen? Would you like to see the chaos that will cause? Or would you be so kind as to let us know when you plan? Jolie told me not to look up. I'm going to look up. When you plan to put an end to this suffering. Huh? Oh, you didn't say anything. Oh, so par for the course. And that's how Larry prays. Isn't that special? Sounds a little bit more like you're talking to, I don't know, Satan? I promise you, if you have any doubts, this should put your mind to rest. I'm born on June 21st, which is the summer solstice. That's the same time that John the Baptist was born. He was the cousin of Jesus, and he was born 6 months prior to Jesus, and Jesus was born on the winter solstice. So John was, in a sense, the Christ that came before Christ. And therefore, you could call him the Antichrist. A-N-T-E. So sometimes I like to tell people, I was born on June 21st, so I think I'm the Antichrist. And then I just stop talking and look at them. Truth is, I've never done that, but I thought it would be funny. I'm waiting for a good chance to do it. I'm not a comedian, so people are rummaging around in the house right now. People. There's only one person. Jolie? Jolie? She doesn't answer because she doesn't hear. She only hears if you pretend to say something that you don't want her to hear. Then she'll hear it. Okay. Sorry, guys. I won't take these long diversions anymore. My arm is starting to feel a little better. Okay. I want one more. Okay. So, So the next example of the next example of a race in trouble came to us from Boorish at Area 51. The story of J-Rod. That was the nickname that he had. He was a extraterrestrial who was, I believe, captured from a downed craft, and he explained that to Boorish. Boorish had to go in and give him shots every day, and they were painful. Part of it was their experimentation on him, and part of it was also trying to help him with what he said was wrong with him. But of course, they didn't have the solution. Some kind of a neuropathy, which I think had something to do with their time traveling. It was causing havoc with their neurons, I guess. So he was a very sad creature, and Dan was very sad to hear about the suffering that their people are going through. I don't remember what the solution was, and I don't care right now. But it was another example of, wow, the aliens are having some problems. What's the next example? The next example is sort of coming out now. There's a lot of people that have been told by the ETs that that they are not in good health, and that they want to rejuvenate their species because of the cloning and all that. It's the same problem I described earlier. And so apparently the story goes that they made an agreement with our government and other governments to abduct people and create hybrids. They've done it in a respectful way, but not always. I mean, there's been things that have been kind of shitty about that. And then apparently the whole deal fell apart because they started firing on them anyway. We did. We started firing on them, and they just kept doing what they were doing. Supposedly they get our upper consciousness to agree with it, which is I hold that out as a possibility. That came from Bud Hopkins, the Linda Corteil story. That was the first time I'd heard of it, where they can put you in a kind of a higher expanded consciousness, and in that state you have the bigger picture, including the context of what they're doing. And then you agree because you know you're not going to be harmed. And so then they turn off that expanded state of consciousness and proceed to do what you allowed them to do. Even if you say, you don't have a right to do this, they can say, well, I know you feel that way, but I don't know. Who knows what they say? I'm not going to make up words for them. But so in all three of those examples, the current situation of the Greys, the J-Rod, which was, I don't know if he was a Gray or something. There's so many different species. In fact, I don't know if you've heard, but Heinz 57 is what leaked out of the military. They used to have that term for them because there's like 57 varieties. And I guess in Heinz ketchup there was 57 varieties of spices or something. So, there's a lot of them out there, and I don't know how to, but it's starting to crystallize around the Greys, who've always been prominent. We've seen the most of those, it seems to me. The reptilians are more rare. I'm not sure what their role is here. If you listen to the secret space program people, they are the original inhabitants of this planet, and they live underground in caverns. They do have high technology, and they're not supposed to allow humans to see them. That's some kind of an agreement that they made. Take it with a grain of salt. That came from the secret space program insiders. I know not all of you believe in those guys, but so it seems that they need us. And you know what? We need them. We need their technology. I'm not, I'm so angry at this point. I'm so tired of the New Agers and all that with we need their expanded consciousness. You know what the fuck we need? We need to cure cancer. We need to lift people out of poverty and give them beautiful homes to live in. And we need to take all of the money that we're spending on war and take a chance on doing the right thing and believing in Martin Luther King's words that the arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Well, it seems to me if we took a chance on God, God will support us on that. And that chance is to recognize that all of us human beings are just, we all have so much in common. The only thing that's holding us apart is language right now. And there's a solution for that too. They can do it. So it's either telepathy or just some kind of magic where everybody can understand everyone just using normal voice. But telepathy is certainly going to be a part of the solution and a part of the ascension, because it's going to erase a lot of pain, a lot of mistruths, and yeah, privacy too. But you won't worry about it because there's love that comes with it and acceptance of you, and especially if you're not an asshole. They told me to stop being an asshole, and I kind of understood that eventually. And when I stopped being an asshole, and just in ways that I didn't even realize, like just a little heavy-handed sometimes with my girlfriend. I don't mean physically, but like, trying to get my way, so I would say something insulting or something, and that's being an asshole. But there wasn't that much that I had to change, except just don't lie to yourself, and because they know if you're lying to yourself, then there's no point in lying to yourself. That's the strange thing, is that if you have an experience like schizophrenia or whatever, where you think you're hearing somebody, the first thing you're feeling is like, wow, they can see into my mind. That's pretty scary. But my own experience of it was, it wasn't really that scary, because part of you knows, hey, you're. Anyway, I'm going off the track here. Okay, I don't want to go down that road right now. I'm famous for that, and it's just laziness. I got to get better, because coevolution is what we're talking about. So they need us. We need them. And I'm going to say we need both components of them. We need the technology that they can offer us to heal us and lift us out of poverty. And the other thing I think we all need is to be taught what the truth is about our history, and just hear the whole story. And from there, just wonderful things can happen. That's why I say we have a bright future. Right now, it looks terribly dark because no one knows about any of this. No one knows really God anymore. I mean, there are plenty of Americans who have a connection and get prayers answered. I'm one of them. But yeah, something wonderful can happen, and religion too. Right now, it's just a source of such division between us, but that's only because none of us know the truth, and we're all kind of sure that, or we would like to think it's just human nature, right? To think that we're the ones that have the best religion, and everyone else's is kind of off in some way or another. So all of that will be cleared up because religion is an attempt to express the truth about the cosmos and our place in it. And when we learn that more of the truth of that, then our religion will evolve up to the next level of questioning, which, there will probably be endless levels. The universe will unfold endlessly and joyously, and that is the awesome creation of God, whoever that is. And believe me, I don't know. I just think there is a creator, and that's who I call God. But now let's go back and see what Daryl is about to give us. Not a channeling, thankfully, like I said, but actually a summary of the Greys and their agenda. So let's take a listen to this. If I can get my damn mouse over to, where is it? Okay, it comes over. Got it. No? No? Come on. Come on, mouse. I gotta get my mouse over to the next machine, and it's not showing up there. I can't do that. No. Okay, listen. Sorry about that. Let me see if that did anything. Yep, that helped. Okay. Now bring him into the picture.
Hybrids and how all of that, from his perspective, actually occurred. So I can just begin with that.
Great. Okay, Daryl. Thanks again, and thanks for being a good friend. And Daryl also has a chapter in my new book, Making Contact. I'll show that at the end. So okay, Daryl, I'm gonna step out, and you step in.
All right. Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's great to sort of meet you. I wish I could see you all. But I'm just going to go ahead and start the story in the way that Bashar has told it. And when he first told this story, it was unusual. I've never heard it anywhere else in terms of what he's saying the origin of the Greys actually is and the hybrids. But I just a couple of years ago, I found one other source, an American Indian story that actually talked about the Greys the way that Bashar does, and it's the only other source I've ever found that says the same thing that Bashar did. And basically, what that is there are many different parallel reality versions of Earth. Since time is an illusion, they all exist simultaneously from his perspective. And he has said that the Greys are not really an alien race. They are mutated humans from a parallel version of Earth. They were technologically very advanced, more than we are now, but they were sort of spiritually not as advanced as their technology. And they allowed the technology to sort of run away with itself. They polluted, they destroyed the ecological systems of their version of Earth to the point where they could no longer reproduce. They started having to try and clone themselves, which also did not ultimately work. They moved underground to start their civilization, to safeguard their civilization from the destruction and the pollution that they had caused on the surface. They couldn't reverse it even with their technology. And over time, they basically, to adapt to what was going on the planet, started mutating themselves into now what we understand to be the Greys. But they were still basically dying out. So the only way they knew that they could sort of resuscitate their civilization was to find a viable source of human DNA, since they didn't have that anymore. So their technology was advanced enough that it allowed them to build ships and shift into other parallel versions of Earth, such as ours, where humans still existed, where human DNA was still viable. This, according to Bashar, was the beginning of the whole alien abduction experience. Now, I understand that that's been somewhat traumatic for a lot of people for a variety of reasons, but I don't believe that it was actually done maliciously. It's just that one of the things that the Greys did in order to accomplish the mission of surviving and being able to move forward with the hybridization agenda is that they needed to work as a unit. And so, in a sense, they kind of altered themselves to lose not only their reproduction capabilities, but their emotionality. They basically became a hive mentality because the task of the hybridization agenda to save their society was so complex and needed so much time that they knew that they would need to work, like I said, sort of as a hive mind to get it done, so that their emotions would not interfere with the process. And yet they know they needed to be guided. And according to Bashar, this is kind of where the mantis beings came in, is they sort of, for lack of a better term, employed the mantis beings to be their overseers, to guide the whole process over time, because they themselves no longer had any real individual initiative. So once they tunneled into our parallel reality and started extracting DNA from humans in the abduction experiences, as we called them, they began creating hybrid beings which they could sort of engineer to be able to be viable again over time. Now, they may have used other DNA from other extraterrestrial beings as well, to a little bit of a degree, but mostly the idea began with the Greys and humans blending their DNA together. And the reason, I've heard some scientists say, well, it's, not really viable for an extraterrestrial species to be able to match human DNA and create a hybrid child from that. But see, the secret actually is that since the Greys used to be human, they're not really aliens. So with some technological assistance, they were able to really just create a human-human hybrid, but in a sense, it's a mutated human and regular human hybrid. And in that sense, it's no problem necessarily, basically, to be able to create the hybrid children from their union and ours. So they began to create different variations as they progressed, as they learned more over time, probably over hundreds and thousands of years, to create not only the next generation, which Bashar calls the tall Greys, or in the ancient tongue of his language, the Mazani. The Greys are called Maz-E, and the next tall generation of Greys is called Mazani. And then, according to Bashar, the third hybrid race is his own, the Sasani beings, which are artificially created and put on a planet that is called Sasani, place of the Sasani beings. And then the fourth generation of it he calls the Shayael, and the fifth generation is the Yaya.
Okay, that's that's enough. Sorry for the coughing. I learned about the mute button, but I thought I had it clicked, but I didn't. Then I proceeded to make the same mistake 2 more times. So, bad boy. What Daryl just said was, I mean, if you believe it, and it sounded rational to me, it was just very intriguing, especially the part about they wanted to remove their emotions and their individual initiative to work as a hive mind so that they could ensure that, you know, they were 100% focused on solving this problem. And because they realized that they would not be the same beings once they were in that state of mind, they needed someone to be in charge and sort of direct the whole thing because they have no more individual initiative. And this may explain why that so many people think that the Greys act robotic and emotionless. So, you know, and what their agenda is to fix what's wrong with them, but as well, they intend to help us, and they've actually been helping us in return for us helping them. And the way that they've been helping us, we have no proof of this, unfortunately. But according to one way, it came from Corey Good and the no, not Corey Good, Bob Lazar, where when he first went to Area 51, the pamphlets that he was given to read, one of them stated that the Greys have been introducing over 60 genetic alterations to our genes over I don't know what course of time, didn't specify, but bottom line, they've been changing our genes. Then we go to Corey Good, who says that interestingly enough, they're not changing our genes to try to help fix our diseases and stuff like that. No. What they're doing is they're trying to, which I wish they fucking would, but okay. But maybe it won't matter, because if it happens soon, and you know, what's the likelihood of that, right? But one of these days, it's gonna happen. I know we've had a lot of false starts, but something's gonna happen, and I feel like it's coming soon, because we can't go on like this. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so they're adjusting our genes so that we can survive this transition into the next dimension. And when that transition is going to occur, I guess, I don't think they've explained that, but this is where we then go to Wilcock and the Law of One, which talks about a solar event, and that is backed up by the story of Alec, which I told you earlier about, and the solar event that they tried to induce on their son, but it didn't work. So they're in a pretty bad situation right now. They need to come to Earth and wait for that same event to occur here, and that will save their race. Meanwhile, the Greys are trying to help us genetically survive the transition into the higher vibration, and also they are waiting until we get to a certain level before they come out to us, because they don't want to intimidate us, and that really rings true for me. You know, there's a lot of ETs who look just like us, apparently. I don't believe, by the way, so many researchers are flippantly saying, oh, the ETs they look just like us and they're walking all over Earth. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's no evidence of that. There's no secret agent down here. Bullshit. They have tried. Rachel's Eyes is one of them. If you know Linda Moulton Howe, she did a report on I think in the 60s or 50s, there was a human hybrid who tried to live with us. Tried to live with a female roommate. She was a female, and she tried to live with a college, roommate. But she had to cover her eyes all the time, and she had some. She had a great difficulty in blending in, so it was not a success. But they did bond, in case you're interested. Not in that way. That would have even been nicer, but no. Sorry, ladies. All right, so given everything we've said about coevolution, just take a look at this clip for fun, okay?
Are you a programmer? Then what are you?
I protect that which matters most.
Well, come on. I ain't gonna bite you. Come around here and let me have a look at you. My goodness, look at you. You turned out all right, didn't you? How do you feel? I know you're not sleeping. We'll get to that. Why don't you come and have a sit this time? Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
You're not human, are you?
Well, it's tough to get any more obvious than that.
If I had to guess, I'd say you're a program from the machine world. So is he.
So far, so good.
But if that's true, that could mean you are part of this system. Another kind of control.
Keep going.
I suppose the most obvious question is, how can I trust you?
Bingo. It is a pickle, no doubt about it. Bad news is there's no way if you can really know whether I'm here to help you or not. So it's really up to you. Just have to make up your own damn mind to either accept what I'm going to tell you or reject it. Candy?
Do you already know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
Just a comment there. The way I understood the plot was that the machines wanted to figure out what love was. And Neo had already made the choice to sacrifice himself for Trinity. And it was the machine who wanted to find out why he made that choice. So she pretends that it's him. But none of that is my point, because where we're going now, we're just in a minute, maybe less. We're going to end on the part where she says, I'm interested in one thing, Neo, the future. And believe me, I know. We can only get there. There's only one way to get there, and that's together. So I botched that pretty good, but she'll do it well. And I love this woman, don't you? I mean, she just, well, let me get a look at you. You got good color. Yeah. Have a seat there. Yeah. Okay, so here we go.
I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Why are you here?
Same reason. I love candy.
But why help us?
We're all here to do what we're all here to do.
This is
I'm
it.
interested in one thing, Neo, the future. And believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
Are there other programs like you?
Oh, well, not like me, but... Look, see those birds? At some
Okay.
point, a program was written.
Okay. Let me just review the part I want you to hear again. No.
I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Why are you here?
Same reason.
Okay, so originally she asked, well, he wanted to know why he was here. And she told him. Now he's asking her why she's here. And she says, same reason. Yeah, that's right. To figure out why he made that decision. Those kind of things just fly by. But let's go.
I love candy.
Me too.
But why help us?
Why help us?
We're all here to do what we're all here to do.
We could say that to the Greys. Why help us? Because, you know, the Greys are very much corollary to this is why I'm playing this. But this is the great sentence. So she just started saying, I'm going to back it up 10 minutes, 5 seconds. Okay.
We're all...
But
Same reason. I love candy.
but why help us?
Why help us?
We're all here to do what we're all here to do. I'm interested in one thing, Neo, the future. And believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
Bingo. Maybe that's the situation we're in right now. Yeah, no? All I really want right now is practical fixes for this world so that people don't live in poverty. And much more than that, people live in happiness. That's what I want to see. Of course, oh, just wait till you die, then, you know, then you'll get to be happy. Well, yeah, okay, but it looks like we might be the lucky generation. We might be the lucky generation. And maybe somehow all the previous souls that lived before us are living through us vicariously to experience this final act in our play. CoEvolution, fine. You know, I'm up for a deal, definitely. I'm up for a deal because we need so much. We need so much. You know, Fergie said, Father, Father, help us. We need some guidance from above. Yeah. That's a good prayer. That's a nice, humble prayer. Me, I tend to bitch and complain because I guess I was taught that scolding works better than asking. And I need to lose that because that's part of being an asshole. Don't scold. Unless you really have to. I mean, there's times when it just has to come out, but not nearly as it shouldn't be the go-to mechanism for changing someone's mind because it doesn't work. So CoEvolution, schmoevolution, I don't care. I just know that either the Greys or Jesus needs to come down. and fix what's going on, because we're way overdue. I mean, at least in my judgment. I don't know how ugly you guys can manage to look upon without doing anything, all for the sake of teaching us some kind of lesson. It must be an important lesson. Maybe it's a mixed bag being in this generation, right? Because we get to see the darkest of the dark, which we haven't even gotten there yet, but hopefully we never will. But it could get really dark. You know, one thing I was really struck by, in The Handmaid's Tale, they had lost the ability to procreate, or at least mostly. And that's what the handmaids were, the ones that still had that ability to get pregnant. And I found that to be a really intriguing correlation, even though it's fiction. I don't know what to make of that, but it was interesting. So that's what coevolution means to me right now. It's a deal, and I do think we can trust them, and I do. Before we get ahead of ourselves, we really need to come together and have actual, conversations, whether they be telepathic or not. I know maybe it has to be telepathic for you. Some of your hybrids speak actual language, though, right? So, oh, God, Larry, are you that crazy that you believe all that stuff? I am. And you are too, aren't you? Well, not all of it, Larry. I believe some of what you were touching on. I believe aliens are real, and I believe they're even here. Just not sure about all that other stuff you were talking about. I know. But I'm starting a YouTube channel, baby. You know why? Why am I doing this? Because I've got a lot of stuff to get off my mind, off my chest, I mean. And all about this topic, and I've been thinking about it pretty much constantly for 20 years now. And what topic is that? Well, ETs, aliens, UFOs, and God, and Jesus, and the Bible, and technology in the Bible. And holy shit, what I figured out about the Adam and Eve story, it's my greatest accomplishment. And of course, it wasn't me. It was all handed to me telepathically, I'm pretty sure. And not just telepathically, but it's the culmination of puzzle pieces that some others who have gone before me had the brilliance to supply me. So, not going to talk about that right now, but going to talk about it again, because one video isn't enough. Maybe if I make a better one, shorter one, more concise one, I'll delete the others and keep that one. So it's not like I have an audience where I have to worry about, oh, you're repeating yourself. But I hope and pray that I do get an audience, because back to my goal. So I want to get this stuff off my chest. I want to connect with people who have very similar views and want to bounce ideas, off of each other. I would love to interview you if you have a story to tell of any sort that has to do with any of this. And I'm going to have interviews of No, I already said that. So, all right. So listen, thanks for sticking with me. I know I've rambled a lot, but I really hope this video flies and I don't have to delete it. This has been Larry Gerndt with Emerging Truths. And I will see you next time.